Mr. Speaker, I will stand to support these appointments. Being appointed to be ambassador, as you did appoint me to go to China, is one of the biggest, one of the most important jobs that you can get as a country. Actually, it's the only time you can be called Your Excellency without being elected. And that shows you the importance that is attached to this particular office. Mr. Speaker, I concur with the committee, except when I listen to the chairman of the committee describing, for instance, Dr. Andrew Karanja, and I listened to our friend Mother from Gilgil saying that he's well-educated, but the chairman says that we appointed him, notwithstanding the fact that he cannot communicate very well. Now, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, of course the duty of an ambassador is to communicate, to speak for the country. I find one thing that is being omitted all the time, that ambassadors are being vetted or appointed. It does not happen in Western countries, that you are appointed to a Portuguese-speaking country and you can't speak Portuguese. You are appointed to a French-speaking country and you can't speak French. Now, if Dr. Karanja does not communicate well in English, what do you think about him communicating well in Portuguese? I think we're like Honorable Juliet is saying.
Order, Julius. There's a point of order from Wangari.
Mr. Speaker, I don't remember anyone saying that Dr. Karanja cannot communicate effectively in English, because he's actually a graduate of a PhD holder, Mr. Speaker, and was very fluent and very well conversed with the English language. The only issue we had was the issue of speaking in Portuguese, and we've had others who have gone, including yourself, without speaking the local language.
Yes, Janet.
Mr. Speaker, of course.
Hold on, Sunkuli. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I want to also say that having a PhD does not mean that you know English. You can be having a PhD and you don't know English, because you saw the other day in Eldoret, there was a university that gave honorary degrees of PhDs and people were in goals. How do you know those people speak English? How can you confirm that those members speak English? Man, it's not.
Order, members. Honorable Sunkuli, I appointed you to China without you knowing any Chinese language.
So, Mr. Speaker, that is why, with the benefit of the hindsight, yes, I'm able to advise that yes, it becomes a problem. But I took an immediate measure and learned Chinese. Yes. And Mr. Speaker, you can also attest that when you came to China, I was able to translate some Chinese, yes, to you. Yes, I'm just saying that in future, as we draft this policy, let us take that into consideration so that we can appoint people who are fit for purpose. And when I talk about lack of communication, I was referring to the speech of the chairman of the committee, that Dr. Karanja said that he is going to improve his communication skills once he gets back to Brazil. Mr. Speaker, I also want to commend His Excellency the President for appointing Mr. Nur Gabo to be Consul General.
Yes, Bashir, what's the point of order?
Motion, sir. Honorable Speaker, I want to.
Sunkuli, do you want to be informed?
You know, I want to. Yes, he can let him inform.
Go ahead.
Honorable Speaker, I just want to inform Honorable Sunkuli and the House that the point where our chairman said that the nominee said he's going to improve on his communication skills was not particular on the speech, but it was, we asked him a question on why, when he was the Minister for Agriculture, that he kept quiet when so many things were happening, including the issue of vaccination. And he said there was a lapse, and that in future he's going to improve on his communication skills to the public and the people he serves. Thank you.
Yeah, that's why I said he was appointed in spite of that fact. But Mr. Speaker, I was at the point of saying that I wish to thank His Excellency the President for appointing Mr. Nur Gabo to be Consul General to the Port-au-Prince in Haiti. That, like Brazil is the only place where we have our embassy in South America. And I hope that this position that Mr. Nur Gabo has been appointed to becomes a position where he's ambassador to the Caribbean, rather than just a Consul General to Haiti. But it is a testament, Mr. Speaker, of the fact that the mission in Haiti is actually now getting some fruits. Contrary to what we had predicted here in this house, it seems like the brave sons of Kenya are at long last making a difference in Haiti. And I hope that Mr. Gabo will, if his presence in Haiti, in presence in the Port-au-Prince, will in fact now enhance our responsibilities in that place. And it is very important that we eventually take this office away from Haiti to in fact Kingston itself, so that the rest of the Caribbean can come under the loop of Kenya, because we need the Caribbean countries when it comes to our diplomacy. We have our foot in Brazil, in South America. We need to extend that to Santiago in Chile. We have our foot now in Port-au-Prince. We need to extend that again to the rest of the Caribbean. And I want to say, Mr. Speaker, that the ambassadors in our abroad ought to be looked after very well. I don't know the position currently, but when I last visited one country, it looked like the salaries were delaying, some of the allowances were delayed, and it is very embarrassing if the embassy abroad does not get its payments due on time. Mr. Speaker, I support.
Thank you. Mutunga.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the adoption of the committee report on the appointments. Honorable Speaker, I have worked with and I know Dr. Karanja very well. Honorable Speaker, Dr. Karanja worked and retired